and welcome to someone else's side of a bed. I can't be in my boyfriend's room because he's working, so I'm in another room. So yes, as you can see, the background changed. I'm not in Switzerland anymore, I'm in Japan, and I wanted to talk to you about all the things you have to do to go to Japan, and then once you arrive at the airport, all the things that will happen to you until you can actually go out in the lobby and meet the person who's supposed to come and pick you up. Okay, so to go to Japan now, at this very moment, you need a visa for work or as business, but I think for the business it's only for Singaporeans and I believe Malaysians, but don't quote me on that. You can always go check the website. I will put it down below if you need any other explanation. But yes, so for now, tourists are not allowed in Japan and you're supposed to have a visa. There are a lot of visas that are available that will allow you to come to Japan. So I think the ones I've seen the most are spousal visas. And when I say I've seen the most is in the airplane, I could count at least 3 types of people. People who are coming to work, so someone like me with I have a engineer specialist in humanities visa because I'm an ESL teacher, and apparently that's different from a teacher visa. I don't know. But then I saw a lot of exchange students, so exchange students can come to Japan as well as long as you have a student visa. And then I've seen a few spousal visa as well, because I saw some people who had like little children and everything, so I'm pretty sure they had their wife or husband live in Japan. So yes, after you get your visa, actually before you get your visa, you have to make your company sign the residence track paper. It has to be approved, so actually everything you see here has to be filled up by the company and not by you, because I did the mistake of filling the reason around over here. I filled it up myself, and when they realized that, they were like, no, your company has to sign it. So make sure that your company fills everything here, and then there's a page with nothing to fill, and then a page with the company's informations like address, the person who signs everything. I put post-its because I don't want you to know where I'm gonna work. But yeah, basically that's it. That's the extra paper you have to fill up for the visa application, and because of the quarantine. It basically makes your company the guarantor of your quarantine, so they attest that you're gonna follow the quarantine rules to the T, and if you don't, they're gonna have problems. So your company is supposed to translate that paper to you and tell you all the details of what you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. My company personally didn't do that, so I had to ask my boyfriend for a translation because I can read Japanese, but that's a lot, and I really needed those informations to be as understandable as possible. So after you apply for the visa with that and the normal visa application, you can go for your trip, but before actually going in the plane, you have to take a COVID test. 72 hours maximum before going in the plane. I was worried that when arriving in Japan, my COVID test would be past the 72 hours and therefore I took the exam on the 21st. Yeah, no, I took the test on the 21st. So when I arrived in Japan, it was almost 72 hours, but not quite. And they actually had to check. So that's the COVID form you have to fill up. You have to fill, the hospital has to fill up all your information also. And they have to sign a few things and put the dates on when you took the test and when they got the results, that you're negative and everything. I know that in Switzerland that's not the paper they ask you. They will give you, in Switzerland they will give you this paper at the hospital, so I had to do a special request for them to fill up this one because that's the Japanese official one, and on the website it states that those ones are also eligible, but there is a chance that it might be refused because that's the original, that's the paper they want, and there might not be the same exact information on both papers. So please be careful, try to find this this sheet and make them fill it up because Japan, sometimes they're a little bit complicated, and I was really scared that if I filled it up myself, just like for the residence track, they wouldn't accept it because it's not someone who's official that filled it up. Okay, so when you have finally done all that, you can go to the airport. At the airport, they will check your visa, they will check your COE, so certificate of eligibility, that is usually attached to inside your passport. And then they will also check your COVID test and the residence track. And the lady at the check-in actually put VOK, I don't know if you can see it here. VOK, meaning that the visa is okay and they checked everything and I can actually go. So I just took the plane like normal. I had a transit at Istanbul, and at Istanbul they checked a second time for my visa for the quarantine, for the residence check paper. Yes, they are very thorough. And in the plane I received a bunch of new papers, those ones actually, plus 2 or 3 more I think, but they took them so I can't show it to you, but I had to fill up some more papers about the quarantine and where I was gonna do it and whose house it was, my phone number for them to contact me if there is a problem, and blah 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 blah. I had to fill it all up in the plane with the immigration paper and I don't remember what it's called, the custom paper as well. But those, I actually didn't receive it because I was sleeping, and when I asked for it at the end of the flight, they just told me that I could find those in the airport, and I had to fill them up afterwards, like usual. It's not that much of a deal, honestly. This is the most important paper you need to receive because once you arrive to Japan, I arrived at Haneda. I don't know if it's very different in Narita, but I believe not. I don't think so. But they hand you this, which is basically a summary of what's going to happen once you get out of the plane. There are 4 rooms that you have to go to. The first room is the room 143. They wrote it's the guidance room, and basically when I arrived it was really weird. Like, they just told me please sit and wait. I was like, wait for what? And a lot of people were behind me and they went like way in front, So I was confused, and some were like waiting in line. I was like, but they told me to wait. Why aren't those people waiting like the rest of us are? It was really confusing, but actually it's because they send someone, they have like 2 or 3 person to check all your papers, so the COVID test, the residence track, and to check that you filled those forms correctly, the forms they give you in the plane. So yes, and once they check everything, they tell you that you can wait in line and go to the next room. The next room is the room 142. That's basically where you have to hand the first paper that's on like all those forms. You have to hand the first paper, and then they do the handing off a sample tube and label. Then they hand you the tube, and you have to do the collecting test sample. So basically what is going to happen is that they give you a little tube with a little triangle. I don't remember how they are called, even in French. But basically, you have to spit 2 milliliters of spit in those little tubes. It took me like 5 or 6 spits to actually reach the level they wanted. They're quite specific. They tell you what exactly needs to be in the tube. So no bloody spit, which makes sense, and no lots of bubbles and things like that. It's quite easy. It just takes quite a lot of time. It took me like maybe 4 or 5 minutes, because you have to accumulate your spit and then spit it in this tube, and then you put the cap back on, you hand it to the person, and they will give you this form, which is not filled. And then you go to the third room. Oh, what I forgot to say is that when they give you the tube, they will put those stickers, this one and where is it? And no, this one not. They just put the sticker on 2 pages, and you have to remember your number, the last 3 digits of your number, because this will be the number that you have to wait for when you're waiting for the test results. So just be careful and remember those numbers, not the ones in red, the ones in the 3 last digits. Okay, so after you hand the tubes and you got that paper with a little sticker and everything, you can go to the third room, 141, where when I said that I had the residence track paper, they were not prepared enough apparently, because a lot of people had the same residence track paper, so they put us aside and they have to check all your documents again, the COVID test results, so those ones, the residence track. They also check for your COE, I think, I'm not sure. And then they filled this one. So this one, it says gaijin, so yes, foreigner, and then yeah, the residence track, that I came with the residence track paper. So they filled those 2 up, and then they ask you where you're gonna stay and who's picking you up at the airport. So yes, very, very important. You cannot come to Japan without a place to stay for 2 weeks, because you have to quarantine, and someone who can pick you up. I've seen that apparently there are cars, like there are special buses made for people who are supposed to quarantine, so you can actually arrange something with those buses, but I don't know how you do it, because that's not the way I did it. And then for the quarantine, they're not too specific about where you're supposed to stay. They just say that if you turn out positive with the second test at the airport, you will not be able to go to your quarantine place, you have to go to the hospital and probably do your quarantine over there, which sucks. But you can quarantine pretty much anywhere, so I'm quarantining at my boyfriend's place and I can have contact with them. I don't have to stay stuck in a room or anything, which, if you ask me, is kind of weird, but very, very practical for me. But yes, just make sure that someone can come and pick you up. Would it be the company or your friend or whatever, but someone needs to pick you up because you're not allowed to take the public transport for 2 weeks. And that's what they check in this third room. And then when you're finally done with the third room, you can go upstairs and they say that there is a waiting for the test results. So basically you arrive in a room with like lots of seats and there is a screen, or a few screens. Just sit next to one of those screens or close to it so you can see the numbers and wait for your number. So my number was 632. Because you have to go through this room before, it actually doesn't take that long to test the results and everything. On one of the paper they hand you, it says that it's, oh yeah, actually on the back of this paper, it says that it should take around 2 and 3 hours. I think it took like an hour and a half, to be honest. So you wait for your test results and then they put this stamp on which says that the minus says that it's negative. And then you can finally head to the immigration. They say notification for the test results and confirmation of transportation for the airport, but that was done in this room already. And so you can just directly go to the immigration. At the immigration, well, you have to fill up an extra paper to say that you lived in a country where that is considered to be dangerous with the COVID thing. I mean, maybe you don't, but honestly, they have like 150 countries flagged, so you probably live in a dangerous area according to Japan, which means, I don't know why exactly they want you to do that, but you have to state from when did you stay in this dangerous country to now when you're in Japan. So basically, you have to put your birth date to the date you arrive in Japan. It's really weird and it's not well explained. I had to ask a lady if it was okay. I did forget to say that once you get the negative stamp on, they give you this. And that's basically a paper that you have to show a couple of times to go to the immigration because they have guards around that will ask you for this paper that attests that you're negative to the virus. And then immigration, like normal, they take your COE and they just give you your residence card, and then you can just head to your luggages and go out and meet the person who's picking you up. So that's it. I know it's a little bit confusing, but it actually goes quite fast. Like for me it took maybe 2 hours. I saw someone else on YouTube say that it also took around 2 hours for him as well. But it's just a lot, especially because I had a lot of luggages, hand luggages that were very, very heavy, and some of the time you have to wait. So it was kind of a struggle, especially because you never, like, even if you have the right papers, there is always somewhere that says that you might be refused to enter Japan because your papers are not correctly filled up. I actually saw a couple of people who had that problem. I'm not sure if in the end they could or not enter Japan, but I've seen a few where they were checking their paper and they were like, no, that's not the paper we need. And that's kind of it's stressful. But for me, everything went fine. So if you do what I've told you at the beginning, have those papers ready and everything, it should be fine. It should be okay. Yes, at one point, behind here, they tell you how it's gonna go, so about that plan, they tell everything, and they mention that you have to fill up the health card. The questionnaire and health card. So questionnaire is written really, really big on the paper, so you will see it right away. It's actually the first page. But then the health card is actually really difficult to find because it's between tons of paper. And the health card is this one, the one I've been showing you, because here, I don't think you'll be able to see it, but it says in really, really small, health card. Make sure that you have that paper when you have to give the tube, because I don't know why the person who was checking all my papers took this one and just threw it in a pile somewhere, and then his coworker was like, where's her health card? I was like, what the fuck is a health card, first of all? And then the other guy was like, oh, I think I threw it in that pile somewhere, and he had to search for it and everything. So remember, this is the health card. Apparently, when you come to Japan, you're supposed to download Line for it to be easier if you contract the virus, so you can like, they have those QR codes that you can scan and tell that you have COVID, and then they ask you to take some further tests and everything. You also have to put an app, which I don't remember the name of it, so let me just go check. The app on your phone is called COVID-19 Contact App. It looks like this when you switch it on. I actually downloaded it when I was in Switzerland, but it doesn't work before you arrive to Japan. So just know that you shouldn't be stressed out, because it's okay. It will work once you are in Japan. And you have to like register if you're positive, and they also have to track your Google Maps movements. So you're supposed to keep your phone on you at all time. And they say that you are allowed to go out, but you should refrain from meeting anyone, and that just in general it's better if you stay at home. So yes, I think that's all. You have some more explanation of how the rooms work and everything, and that's it. Yeah. I hope that you found it helpful, because no one actually talks about it at all. I've been searching on YouTube for the past week because I was coming to Japan, and I like to be prepared and I like to know how it's gonna go and everything, but nobody talks about it, so I thought that I was gonna make a video about everything. So yes, I hope at least it helps someone. And if you are about to go on the plane and fly to Japan, I wish you good luck and don't stress too much, it will be fine. I hope that you have a good day, and that your trip goes alright, smoothly like it did for me. See you!